All right, I think I'm up and running. Gonna skip some of the hubbub that usually goes along with the stream here. If RJ or anybody who's in chat, if you could just confirm that we're working, you should be looking at my portfolio right now. All right, sweet, we're good. What up? Hey. So yeah, sorry, I've been all over the place today, and then my super fast 5 gig down up internet speed is sucking again. I don't know. I might have to revert to who I had before. There's just so much inconsistency in it. But irregardless, today was a pretty good day. Tesla up over 5% on the day. Definitely the MVP up almost 100, actually over 100,000 if I include all my portfolios. Loving that. Can't be angry about it. We saw some ARKG push today, up about 30K on that too. That got MVP, or that got like secondary MVP, and then PayPal in third place. And I've been saying this for a while, but you know, there's some asymmetric bets here, and we'll look at some of it. Patience is a virtue. It is. I don't always have it, but it is a virtue. All right, so there's a few things I wanted to go over, and sorry I'm not as organized as I usually am. I've just been going in a lot of directions. So let me see if I have these the way I want them. Let me just jump out a little bit here. We'll probably start off with U.S. economic data. AOL, all good one. AOL, God, no shit, right? That's a long time. It's a long time ago. I remember the CDs they used to give away where you could get your free AOL hours. The young kids aren't going to get that. Starlink would be better. You know what, man? I'm in a pretty decent sized city. I won't dox myself here, but it's a pretty decent sized city, and this new fiber optic internet is supposed to be so glorious, but I don't know. The company just doesn't seem to be that great. 5 gig and down and up sounds beautiful, but if it's not consistent, it's just not that wonderful. So we'll see. Bunch of things to go over here. Bunch of things to talk about today. Can you please check GCT? I think you might love it and hate it at the same time. That sounds wonderful. I love it when I love things and hate them. I will do that. The machine. I will check it out. All right. So, but yeah, maybe I'll have to Starlink, even though I'm in like what should be a great place, because at least with Starlink, they've got over 100 cellular satellites now. And soon they'll be competing against companies like Verizon and T-Mobile. And we'll see and Sprint. We'll see what happens. I mean, Starlink could definitely be the #1 internet provider in the world in the not too distant future. So it'll be interesting. Real quick, Seth Golden. He was talking about some of the things that are sitting in front of us, right? He said we're going to get a September rate cut, small cap rotation, and we're going to get a Trump win, and you could get a soft landing. And he was just showing percentages for that. I think that the chances are pretty high that we could get that soft landing, at least for now. The doom and gloomers will always doom and gloom, but and then there will be a time where they're right. So, and I'll probably be agreeing with them a year from now. Until then, we have to operate off of what we know and understand. And I can tell you, Bitcoin's at 68,150. That's a pretty good fucking number. And we can see global liquidity expanding. That's what Michael Howell with Cross Border Capital is telling us, along with a bunch of other indicators for global liquidity. And so I think the next year is going to be one of beauty. And I think people need to realize that. I do want to show this. So real quickly, this is JD Vance. I'll make sure that the volume's good. I might have to screw around with this real quick. It looks like I got it at 5 dB. I'll play this in a second. I just want you to listen to what he has to say about companies and how they should be treated from a tax perspective. And I agree with it. I don't know if I'll agree with everything that this guy has to say, but I think it's a good take, and it's one that will probably be beneficial to companies like Tesla, and maybe not so much for companies like Google, Microsoft, and anybody else that tries to lower their tax obligations by using the digital revenue that comes in as something that doesn't have to be taxed in the same way as other corporations that do business in the United States. But just listen to it. Make up your own thought.
We need to reorient our entire economy towards the real economy and not the digital economy. It is striking how much the digital economy dominates in our public policy. To give you just one basic example, there's a high-quality manufacturer in central Ohio that makes natural gas compressors. Their corporate tax rate, like everyone else's, is 21%. Ask them what their effective tax rate is, and they'll tell you it's 21%. The reason is because they can't hide their assets. They can't pretend that their assets exist somewhere else. They're making things in the state of Ohio, employing good Americans in good American jobs to do it. Ask Google or Apple or Facebook what their effective tax rate is, and it's somewhere between 0 and 10% because they can pretend that their digital assets are located overseas. So our very tax code biases the companies that are most invested in the American nation state. That has to stop. We should have a different preference and a different goal. Go after the companies that are destroying this country, reward the companies that are building it. It's that simple. That's what public policy is about. And if we're unwilling to use those levers, we should get out of this business altogether.
Sorry, remember the mute button this time. So what I find interesting there is he's basically trying to make it to where we're not disadvantaging companies that do business in the United States and then allowing companies that have, virtual assets, whatever, across the interwebs to basically be able to hide some of the wealth and avoid higher levels of taxation by pushing things overseas. As far as the revenue streams, I don't know. There's a lot to think about here because you don't want to push people out of the United States. You want to make sure that you're getting all the tax revenues. I don't know. I find it interesting. We'll see how it plays out. I know a lot of Democrats love increasing taxes. Be interesting to see what happens here and kind of what path they're looking to go down. And again, I'm not going to make too many judgments right now. I just thought it was interesting. Chicken Genius, my buddy Packback Chicken. He's an interesting cat. I don't agree with everything he talks about, but I've even talked to this guy one-on-one, having conversations where he's talking about not doing the financial investing thing as much anymore and looking for people to kind of push his followers to. And he was talking to me about that. It was really weird. Never ended up going anywhere, but he's an interesting guy, and I think he's pretty smart too. Here's what he said. So he said, we should see Bitcoin at 90K soon. He goes, injections from two major central banks, U.S. and China, estimated $400 billion from U.S. and $140 billion from China. Doing cycle analysis since 2020, China been in injecting massive liquidity from July 1st. For 2024, though, data not out. They haven't actually been injecting a lot of liquidity so far for 2024, but they're starting to. Immediate data shows massive revision upwards by month's end, should reflect in the chart. So what he's saying here is there's signal here if you go ahead and line this up against other charts and what's going to happen with markets in regard to global liquidity. And he's looking at slightly different things than what I'm looking at with Michael Howell and Cross Border Capital. But it's similar in nature, and they're both pointing up. So I thought it was a good one. It's just another way to validate, our thesis. So I wanted to cover that too. Somebody said, happy Monday. Can you run through SMCI? Looks like a bottom of the channel to me. RJ Cohen says, hell yes. Jesse, if you have time, BITF and SoFi. Appreciate you. I will try and do those, sir. All right, adjusting for inflation, the Japanese yen is at the weakest point in 57 years. This is pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting thing to be looking at here and something that we should follow. I don't know that it means much right now, but it could mean more in a I don't know, a year from now, I think, when we start to let go of the things that we're using to control our economies and maybe let them start to free float. And there'll be reasons why I think that has to happen. All right, bar chart. Hedge funds build largest long gold position in more than 4 years. I love to say this. I like to be contrary to what hedge funds do. But they were also super short the market, and that has not worked out really good for them so far. So, I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Also, for anybody who is wondering, the Russell small caps outperformed the NASDAQ and the S&P today, even though they were underperforming earlier in the day. Like I've said many times, this is what's going to happen. Carl Minger. Breaking, interest payments on U.S. national debt will shatter $1.14 trillion this year, eating 76% of all income taxes collected. So if you think that taxes are the future and that's how we'll make everything better in this country, then won't you be saddened to know that 76% of income taxes, that basically this 1.14 trillion consumes 76% of income taxes collected. And this is just one line item on our debt. And then we have the $1 trillion defense budget, or whatever it is now. And then everything else, right? So it's completely unsustainable. That's the point here, is it's completely unsustainable. So we can't dig our way out of this hole by taxing people or corporations or even just the ultra wealthy. If we do that, we'll destroy our economy by creating a downward spiral that can't be fixed over the short term. And that would have ramifications that will probably lead to world war. So we're going to try and avoid that. We'll keep printing. We need to increase GDP, though, through automation. And we need to save our country and the individuals within it by purchasing things. Well, I shouldn't say things, Bitcoin. If you want to save your wealth, purchase Bitcoin, especially if it turns into a potential conversation of a reserve asset at the Bitcoin meetup on Thursday. And remember, that's coming, guys. The Bitcoin conference, one of the largest in the world. It could have, rumor has it, Elon Musk, and I didn't think this was true, but now he's starting to talk about the dollar today and about how our system is essentially bankrupt. And there's rumor before that about him going to the Bitcoin conference. Holy shit. If he goes to the Bitcoin conference and you've got him, Kathy Wood, Michael Saylor, Donald Trump, and a slew of others, wow, will things be interesting. All right, real quick. We're going to listen to this conversation real fast. I forget the show that they've got. But anyway, this is Michael Batnick and Todd Sohn speaking. I want you to hear it. It's in regard to IWM, otherwise like the Russell 2000 and small caps. And Tom Lee tweeted it out there, so I think it's kind of important to be able to get his take. Here we go.
We now say that there is a new trend, or is this just counter trend and we're all going to forget about it in a week?
The breadth statistics say this is new. This is a fresh move higher. You had 70 or 70. I want to say 75%. I might be skewing that number.
He's right. 75%
of Russell 2000 stocks trade to a 1 month high this week.
Wow.
That is historic.
Yeah.
Right. The strongest in however many years.
It's a breadth thrust. A breadth thrust. No, but it is though.
This is a breadth thrust.
Yeah, you want to buy those.
Yeah, breadth thrusts coming off of major lows, which you could make the case the Russell is in the process of doing that, should be bought. Yes, they can be short-term climactic, right? I wouldn't be surprised if small caps then just declined and had some volatility for the next month or so, especially because
I don't think so.
Seasonal elections, whatever you want to call it. But more often than not, the forward returns are very bullish.
Can we now?
All right. So again, this is just another indication that small caps are a good bet. And small caps, market breadth expansion, what they're talking about, 75% of the Russell experiencing 1 month highs or whatever it was, it doesn't matter, is a huge deal. Especially when you're looking at a trend. Let's just look at the Russell. Especially when you're looking at a trend where we have been flat to down since March of 2021. And if you go back here, we're not much higher than we were back in 2019. So this market has drastically underperformed, and it's been doing so for over 3 years right now, almost 3.5 years, really. And it's getting ready to rocket. And I was telling people before, this right here, this big wick, people can confuse this and think that it marks a top, but it doesn't. It just marks where we're heading to. And that's what's happening. You can see where we grinded here on the first fib level forever to try and establish a base above all the moving averages on the weekly time frame, and then we're just taking off. And that's what I would expect to continue to happen. And again, we've got a good 31% before we hit the golden retracement zone. And I think we could even break above that for short periods of time. So there's a lot of room still in small caps to take off. And as that happens, you'll see investments like ArcG and PayPal, ones I was pointing out in some posts, do really, really well. So because they've underperformed too. And then you have this excitement where everybody is trying to figure out where the next big gain is. And those are some fun times. If you haven't been through that, you're going to get ready to have a really great time here in the near future. Seth also pointed out you couldn't tell the masses that disinflation would resume post the seasonal impairments that inflated the inflation data during Q1 period, and trust that you won't be able to with any future bout of seasonal adjustments. Some folks just want bad things. So we have disinflation. We have a deflationary time frame here. It says inflation registers largest decline in 4 years. And again, you can't tell the average person that because all they see is that everything is more expensive. They don't know that the rate of inflation is different than inflation itself, and that we don't want prices to go back to where they were. If they do, we're all fucked. So we need inflation. You need a certain amount of inflation unless you want people to lose jobs and to create that downward spiral that Ray Dalio always likes to talk about, except he thinks he references it as the death of America's hegemony, and that what will happen is China will rise up and take over the world. He's been backing away from a lot of his investments in China. And hey, did you know this? Did you know that Warren Buffett, I believe, has sold the last of his BYD shares and is now a partial owner in Tesla shares? That's what I was reading a minute ago. We'll look at that in a second. All right, bar chart. Probably fine. Car repossessions surged 23% as Americans fall behind in payments. This will get worse. When you have people that during a pandemic, because of a chip shortage, are paying 50% more than they were paying for cars a year earlier, under 5% for BYD at Berkshire. That's pretty good. Awesome. Good to know. Thanks, Alexandra. Appreciate it. Now, so when you have people paying too much, thank you, Mike, for becoming a member. Appreciate you guys. When you have people that are paying 50% too much because of a chip shortage, and everybody's doing it, and everybody's rushing out to get cars because people are sheep sometimes, and they're like, oh, I can't find the car I want. Oh, I better get this other one that costs 50% more because there's just no cars available. And it's not like, I mean, I could have patience and wait a year and see if the prices come down, but no, fuck it. I need a new car right now for God knows what reason. So that's what a lot of people did, okay? And they did that, and they splurged. And you know, part of it was an incentive, right? All of a sudden, they were getting checks in the mail from the U.S. government. And maybe having, like me, I actually had a period of time where I took my kid home, and I was homeschooling her during the whole COVID thing, which is probably a waste of energy. And I was a horrible teacher, so I don't know if that worked out well for her education. But I did that, right? And so I actually had my payments for my mortgage were delayed because I was impacted and so I didn't have to make mortgage payments for a long time. It was like over a year or something. While I was working through all of that, that worked out really great because I had basically, taken off time from work. So it worked out great. But again, just a lot of free money around March 2020, right? And into 2021. And so these people, they started buying shit they didn't need, that they couldn't afford. So there's no doubt that this was going to happen, and that a decent chunk of people, especially that are feeling the crunch from all of the inflation that occurred the years after that, from printing 40% of the money supply that ever existed, they're getting crushed. And so I don't think this is the end of the world, though. I do think that it's a drag on the auto sector, and it's definitely going to be a drag on ICE vehicles, and it's a drag on shitty EVs. Nobody wants a shitty EV when they can get a Tesla. So I think that you're going to continue to see more pain in this sector. But again, we know Tesla actually does all right because their energy sector is going to be expanding like crazy, and it's got much higher margins. So it'll be interesting to see between the $100,000 Cybertrucks they've been selling like crazy, and all the extra crap they're selling to people like me that buy all the junk that comes with it, and their expanded energy markets. It'll be interesting to see how they do. I think it's going to be really good. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I will be traveling tomorrow, so I probably won't have a live jam session, but we'll see. Anyway, let's jump in here. So Seth Golden also said, how important is a confirmed new high? Both 1929, before the Great Depression, and 1987, Black Monday, crashes lacked confirmed new highs. This is not like those years. The S&P, the NYA, advanced decline lines made 52-week highs in July. Advanced decline lines confirming S&P high points to August and December forward gains. Only one negative return in 1943. All he's doing is he's giving you some quant data here that says that because we've confirmed upside, that we're likely to continue that, and that it's not like the Black Monday from the 80s or the Great Depression. I would tend to agree. Ryan Detrick, Russell 2000 was just up more than 10% in 10 trading days. Since 1979, when it started trading, this has happened only 23 other times, taking the first signal in a cluster. Future returns are quite strong, up nearly 27% a year later, and higher 86% of the time. So these guys are both giving you data and analytics here that tell you that this is most likely going to be a good time to be invested. Seth again said it would not be uncommon if after the rapid and fierce small cap rally to see the rally retrace a third of the event. I don't think that's happening. A fib retrace to the 38.2 would be healthy and likely prove opportunity. I don't think that's going to happen. But he's right. They would. All right. Seth says the odds favor the bulls. So sit still and look pretty while the bears lay their own trap again. Why so glum? There's only been one all-time high set in July since 1980. Odds of 2024 high being the July high are slim, 1 in 44. Never has the S&P 500 made 38 all-time highs in a year and not made at least one more. A Whaley Brett thrust just signaled, and it holds a 93% positivity rate 6 months forward, i.e. year end. Went up between 15 to 20% in the first 130 trading days. There's a 95% positivity rate from day 131 to year end, with an average of 8% return during that period. Don't be glum, sit still, look pretty. I would agree. And if you can't sit still, just look pretty and stare in a different direction. Go do something. Touch grass. All right, Seth says, what happens after each deeply oversold condition for semiconductors? Every single time 5-day RSI achieved oversold conditions, semiconductors bounced. Some of you are asking me to look at SMCI, NVIDIA, all these others. I mean, how'd they do today? NVIDIA was up almost 5%. I'm willing to bet the other chips are sitting pretty good too, because this is factually accurate and has marked great bottoms. You can see it in the image. This is pretty fucking clear, right? Pretty fucking clear, if you ask me. So again, if you're not following Seth, he's a good guy to follow. Seth also had equal weight all-time highs. It said it would not be atypical after a massive advance to retrace to prior resistance and validate support ahead of another leg higher. That's all he's saying is we backtested. We backtested and we're going higher. That's not bad. That's a good thing. You want to see that. Equity inflows surged 39 billion last week, the second largest in the past year. Do fund flows matter? Weeks with net equity inflows in the S&P averaged 0.66 weekly gain. The S&P or SPX had a positive return in 72% of inflow weeks. So again, we're seeing inflows. We're seeing all kinds of stats and analytics that are showing us going higher in the future. We know that global liquidity is expanding, per Michael Howell with Cross-Border Capital. All these things are pointing to up. Evan pointed, this is July 19th. The S&P just had its worst week since April. Again, it's just a retracement, though. I like to show both sides of the story, but it's just a retracement. All right, let me see. There's a bunch more in here. I'm just going to see if there's anything. Oh, hedge funds. Oh, shoot. Did I lose it? Skip it. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you guys are interested, pay attention. I wish I could share bookmarks. It is something that I am hoping that we'll get from X in the future. If that ever happens, I'm going to start sharing out my bookmarks for U.S. economy, Bitcoin, Tesla, and all the other stocks that I'm invested in. So if you guys get interested, oh, hey, thanks, Andres. Welcome to the team, man. But if you guys are interested, you'll just be able to look at these things on your own. So we'll get there. All right. So the economic calendar, there wasn't much today. We had Chicago Fed National Activity Index. It was up. It was better than expected, or better. Consensus was negative, and forecast was 0.3. It was 0.05. It's a good number. The 3-month bill auctions and the 6-month were pretty much in line. Nothing interesting. Tomorrow, we've got Redbook, existing home sales. I mean, Richmond Fed manufacturing and services should be interesting. Money supply should be interesting. Maybe the 2-year note. Not too much going on there otherwise, though. And then we'll get, more S&P data on Wednesday. PCE data, the important like inflationary type data and jobs data are Thursday and Friday. So Thursday and Friday will be the big days. The rest of it isn't even that interesting, honestly. All right, let's look at the CME Fed Watch tool. How are we sitting here? And thank you to everybody. I know I started late, but thank you for everybody who's here. All right, so July, we've only got a 2.6 chance of lowering rates by 25 bips. But September is 94.2% chance of lowering by at least 1 and then maybe 2. There's a 2.4%. So I think 25 bips is fine. I think that's what we're getting. All right, let's look at fear and greed, and then we'll look at indices and some other stuff real quick. Fear and greed is almost in neutral on the stock market. That's a great place for us to advance higher, guys. And I made like almost $200,000 today, when the market is barely above neutral. I fucking love that. That's the kind of stuff I love to see. Let's see how the crypto index is doing. It says we're in greed at 70. I don't know. The crypto index is a little weird, honestly, in how it's marked. But if we look at historical here, we can see that we're right about here. So it's looking overextended, but if you look into bull markets of past, you can see that we can be, let's see, from where we were at, let's just start here. So where we were at roughly in the same level, right about here, October of 2020, we stayed there till about January, late January 2021. So almost 4 months we sat in just fucking max bull. So don't be confused by this index and thinking that it's got to come down because it's a little bit in greed. This thing can scream to 100 and just hang the fuck out until the RSI on the weekly time frame on Bitcoin gets into the 80s and almost up to 90. If it gets to 90, GTFO. Get the fuck out. That's your best bet. Or at least lessen your position. All right, real quickly, while I'm skipping through here, I'm just going to look at Tesla. So it looks like inventory is still about the same. Model 3 is about where it's been. I would expect that to tick lower, though, because we're getting so many of these new Model 3s out. I think that will tick lower. We'll probably see S and X sitting here pretty good. They'll start reporting on Cybertruck here soon, but I could see Y building up. That's probably the only one that I see building up over time. All right, so let's go back. We're going to look at some other bookmarks here. We're going to jump to Tesla. Actually, you know what? Real quick before that, we're going to go ArcG and PayPal. I just want to show these again because I feel like it's just too many people are stuck in a mindset of the past, right? And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that for ARC Genomics and PayPal, I was like a year and a half too early. I'm sorry. That happens, right? You get overly confident from having a bunch of wins and being up 700% on the year. You make stupid moves or get too excited about upcoming opportunities, and they don't always play out because the macro changes. But I will say this. We have thoroughly back-tested this previous resistance here on ARC Genomics. And once we turn risk on, once it's confirmed risk on, it would not be hard to get up into the 80s, 90s with this thing. And that's fucking crazy when you consider that we're at 25 today. And this is an asymmetric options play for me. So January 2026, I don't remember what the strike is. It's over here somewhere. Let's see. January 2026, $50 is what I'm at. And again, in the same with PayPal down here. And again, absolutely raped on the 2025s. Horrible timing on my part. Down 90%. I get it. That sucked. But these January 2026s with only a 95 strike, I think are going to pay a lot. And people are quickly to discount this because I've been wrong for a year and a half. And I get it, right? But you got to realize that when this turns around, people will chase. They always do. They always do. And this same pattern exists on PayPal. And people are like, oh, you had this opportunity cost. Yeah, dude, you're right. So 15% of my portfolio had opportunity cost for a period of a year to a year and a half. That's fine. I'm willing to deal with that, okay? But you got to remember, I did make 700% last year, and now I'm at about break even right now for this year. I might be up a little bit by 1 or 2%. But I still think I'm getting to 100% by the end of the year, and I think PayPal and ArcG will be a big part of that. So I would really encourage people not to look towards the past all the time to judge things. Look at the past as, okay, how much potential do we have for upside versus down? Where are we in the oscillation? Are we really low? Are we really high? Everything oscillates in the investment world. So use it for that, but then look forward and figure out what the future brings. And I'm sorry, we're back. Okay. Are we back? Fuck. Can you guys hear me? I think you can. But anyway, I'll just continue, assuming you can. So my whole point is that don't look towards the past all the time for your opportunity. Look towards the future. Figure out what's coming. Xpence is going to do great. They've got like, oh my God, we're dropping again. Shit. Fucking, oh wait, we're back. Jesus Christ. All right, that's it. I'm going to get my other internet service provider back. This is pissing me off so bad. Anyway, X Payments has like 75% of their licensing for all their states. Sure, they'll get more, but just keep this in mind. X isn't everything, okay? And I say that with utmost admiration for this company. I love Elon Musk. You guys know I'm a fanatic, right? But here's the deal. This is like not even in the top 10 of social media websites on Earth. And then they don't even have their payment platform up yet. So if you think that X is going to kill PayPal overnight, you're just wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. And if you're ignoring the advertising revenue that PayPal could start generating and how many growth levers they have, I think you're going to miss the boat, and that's cool. I've got some of the people who I have a lot of respect for shit on PayPal all the time. They could end up being right. I don't think they will be, though. And I'll make sure to let them know later on that they should have fucking listened to me. And I'll do that to you guys, too. Just be prepared. And you can shit on me if I'm wrong, but I'll be right. So there. All right, the son of the walkie, we got him back, right? For some reason, he was suspended. We got him back. We worked hard. Everybody said, bring back son of the walkie. He is a Tesla fan. He's a great person, and he shouldn't have his account suspended. I don't know what was going on the other day, but we got him back. And just in time to be able to say, Tesla full self-driving 12.5 is starting to roll out to employees. This is huge. This gives... there's another post. I don't know if I bookmarked it in here, but it's great. I think it's from Sawyer Merritt. He said, imagine when all these rappers, basket and football players, and, stars and Justin Bieber's and all these other people. Some of these people have never owned Teslas before. They've never experienced full self-driving. Imagine what happens when all these rich, wealthy, prominent people who have never owned a Tesla before get full self-driving and see what it can do. Imagine what that PR looks like from that. It's going to be sick. So it's coming, guys. And this update not only gives the Cybertruck FSD, but it also makes it to where the city and highway stacks are merged, provides a much better experience, which I can't imagine because I already love 12.36. And it's better than 12.4, which is why they're going to skip to it. But it also has like a hive mind vehicles. If they experience, a cutout, somebody had to bail or something, it will send that to the fleet and let them know, hey, the driver's having to take over around here. And if one of them figures out, oh, hey, this is how I should be doing it, it will communicate that to the rest of the fleet too. You have to realize that that is the future of autonomy. Having these vehicles communicating with each other in real time about, hey, that's not the way to do it this way going forward, and having that kind of memory and history and communication method is huge. Things are getting very excited on the Tesla front. I can't wait. Dylan Loomis, I love this guy. He does Electrified on YouTube. He's a good dude. He's even talked to me about being on his channel a couple of times. I think I fucking cuss too much for that. He's a good guy. I don't know if he wants me on, but maybe he started watching my videos and it's like, shit, that's not going to work out. But I still love him. And he says, remember in 2020 when all the analysts were saying how overvalued Tesla was after it started running up in valuation, 185 billion and beyond. You got to remember the PE for Tesla was over 420 almost, right? Beautiful number. And the price was almost 420. So just some interesting stuff here. But everybody, I actually bailed when it was a little over 100. I missed a huge amount of gains in 2019 and 2020. I could have got a lot more if I was just patient. And this is a lesson that you're going to learn across all markets. There are times where people are irrational to the upside, and you want to slowly dial out of that until it's over. I've learned that lesson numerous times, 2019 and 20 just being one of them. Anyway, he says, the argument they made and many others then parroted, that's so true, went like this. Tesla is more valuable than GM, Ford, and Tesla combined. Therefore, Tesla must be a bubble. Tesla makes a fraction of the cars of these guys. This makes no sense for the valuation. Well, fast forward a few years, and now Tesla is more valuable than GM, Ford, Stellantis, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, and Ferrari, and BYD combined. And it's still there on its lows, right? And the PE is actually looking really good. They all failed to give Tesla enough credit as a real-world AI company, as an energy company, in addition to the profitable EV business. Many are going to make this very same mistake over the next 3 years, and the valuation gap between Tesla and these standard automakers is likely to widen, not shrink. I 100% agree with him. If anything, he's too conservative. I said it, Dylan. You're too conservative. All right. Yes, Sawyer Merritt just talking about all the celebrities getting 12.5 and realizing these things can drive themselves. Imagine the advertising. And if you don't care about that advertising, what about this advertising right here? Let's just listen to it. Yeah, so Tesla paid jack shit for that. Gotta love it, right? I don't know. Maybe they paid a small amount. But this is fucking awesome. This kind of stuff is awesome. And it's just, again, all the free advertising in the world. Right here. Look at this. I think one of those guys said, no fucking way. Not a lot of people cheering, but I don't give a shit. This thing beat out a bunch of heavy-duty pickups. There was one, the only one it lost to was a heavily modified Power Stroke engine. Otherwise, it crushed all these other guys. Like, there's just so much signal here of where we're headed with Tesla, and it's going to get overbought again. It's going to happen. It's coming. And again, so Warren Buffett sells BYD stock again, now only holds 4.94%. Will Warren Buffett buy Tesla stock now? So it's a question of whether he will. I think he will. If he doesn't, he's foolish. The Cybertruck. So this is the Cyber van. Tesla has not made this. I want them to. I would buy it in a heartbeat. This is basically the image of the Cybertruck with a couple of modifications on the front bumper, down here for a step stool, and then you can see where they kind of they took the Cybertruck and they changed the angles to try and make it into a van. I think this is kick-ass, and I would love to see this thing on the road. Having 3 rows on a Tesla Cybertruck, Cybervan would be amazing. I would take this thing everywhere. You would be the coolest soccer mom bucking ever if this thing came out. And I'm just putting this out there so that I can manifest this with Elon Musk. So please make that happen, Elon. Speaking of Elon, Tesla will have genuinely useful humanoid robots in low production for Tesla internal use next year, and hopefully high production for other companies in 2026. So 2024 and 2025, they've got these things working in their factory. In 2026, they start producing them for other corporations and individuals that want them. This stuff is coming, whether you're ready for it or not. I wouldn't be holding back too much right now, assuming that it'll take years for it to happen. You got to remember, markets are forward looking. They will absorb this price, and it will be volatile up and down, but it will go higher than you think it's going to, because Tesla is so depressed even now today. Let's look at the stock real quick here and pull it up. So, all right, it's kind of a little messy. Let's just do this. So again, here's that support line I was telling you about that we're going to bust up above this week, and that we did close above, and then tomorrow we go into earnings. Now, don't get me wrong. We could have something, this could be a shoulder, head, right shoulder. Maybe earnings don't turn out to be as good, but historically, Q3 and Q4 are the best earnings quarters for Tesla. So even if it drops and Bitcoin is doing well into that, I will be buying Tesla. If it goes up, I'll be selling more of my calls, over $1 million worth right now. I'll slowly be selling those as we continue to hit targets at 300, roughly 16% higher than we are, and another target about 50% higher than we are right now, at the 390 range. I'd probably try and be maybe 60 to 70% out of my calls by the time we get to 390, especially if we do it in short order. Now, that doesn't mean we can't go up here towards the 596 range. I still think that's totally doable between now and the expiration of these. And then there's a leap goal of, 900. But this is such a leap, guys. I'm not betting on this. With options, you want to take your gains and you want to run. And so I might ride some waves, and then that gets me to this level too. But I will be probably mostly stock. Okay, and I'm sorry, I skipped the 600 range. Mostly stock by about the 390 range. And then I'd probably be all stock in the 600s. I won't wait for this. Even though we'll probably get there, I'll just ride it with stock. And again, I expect Bitcoin, I expect markets to take a hit at the end of 2025. So maybe I'll try and capitalize around that time and buy some dips with some cash. But I'll take 3, 4, 5 million off of Tesla. That's okay. I've already made $1 million, so in just the last month. So I'll take it. And I've already made back all the money I put into my calls. So that's pretty good. All right. let's look at some other stuff. I want to back out of Tesla real quick because I do want to show you more here. I need to take a step back. So again, NVIDIA up a lot. A lot of these chips, look at electric technology. A lot of these sectors were up and doing really good today. So that's awesome to see. And again, we know that it looks like crypto took a little more of a hit today, which is okay. Ethereum is actually down 2%. Solana's down 2%. You got to realize these things were screaming over the weekends. And if I look at Solana, it's at 180 right now. Look at this chart right here at what it has done even since the beginning of this month. 3 weeks ago, it was $120. Now it's $180. So that's a pretty good increase over a short period of time. And I've got a feeling we're going to be at 265 here before you know it. So I'm super bullish on crypto and Bitcoin right now. Super bullish. Again, let's look at indices. The S&P hit the .618 just like I said it was going to. Retraced. Now I think it's finding support, and I think we're going up from here. We could have a drop further, maybe. The NASDAQ really took it on the chin. Huge gap right in here that we should probably be filling soon. Maybe it gets up to here and then it takes a break. But I think NASDAQ could go up too. I just think the S&P and the NASDAQ are going to go up slower, right? And maybe the NASDAQ outperforms the S&P. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And then again, the Russell, best performer indice of the day when compared to those two. Love it. Let's look at the dollar. The dollar is down today, but I actually think I think we're going to meander in here and maybe we start breaking higher. My bet is on the dollar going higher. I know a lot of people would normally expect the markets to get crushed during that. I don't think it's going to. And we can go into more of that later, but I actually think that the dollar, a lot of its strength is going to be coming from China and just their desperation and moves. So I think that will draw the dollar up, but I don't think it's the end of the world for our markets, because we're going to be looking at global liquidity expanding at the same time. Now, gold is up almost 25% in 13 years. Wah, wah. Oil. Let's see. I think I'm back. Can I get my view counter to work? What the fuck? All right, let's keep going. Anyway, my point. Oil took a giant shit and broke down underneath the 100 daily moving average, like I said it was going to. Also, I believe the weekly, it was above the 100 weekly moving average too. But we're getting closer to the 200 moving average now. I think that's likely to progress. If you guys can hear me, can you say something, please? Just type something out. Just want to make sure this shit's working, so I'm not talking to myself. It's really embarrassing otherwise. Thank you. Okay. Move index. All right, I hope you guys can hear me. We'll see. Move index still underneath the breakdown zone of that head and shoulders, which is looking good. I can't tell if you guys are there. Am I talking to myself? Can somebody confirm? If we're up? Let me see here. Maybe I should go to the interweb. I'm still pulling shit up, so it's got to be working in some way. Maybe the connection timed out. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? It says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. You know. Hey, Chris, if I'm working, can you tell me? Send me a text message. He's my buddy. So let's see here. We're just going to keep that up. All right, I'm going to keep rolling like I'm talking to somebody. And Chris, if you could confirm that I'm actually working, even though I can't hear chat. All right, so real quickly. The 2-year, the rate on the 2-year, it looks like it's going to roll over. I think we're bear flagging here. I think we're going to go lower, which means that we'll see the percentage returns on the 2-year go down as people are buying more of them. This will be a fine thing for markets, I think. Let me see. Did my friend Chris respond? Service outage. Nope. Okay. I don't know if I'm working. I'm just talking to myself. I guess we'll keep trying. This sucks. Let me see. I'm going to refresh. I'm always talking to myself. That's true. That's a good point. Hey, at least my fucking interwebs is back. All right. So the 2-year, expect it to go down. Maybe if we type in caps. Yeah. I don't know if that'll help. Oh, hey, somebody did post earlier. Kobayashi Letter, I think, posted that the and he got a screenshot from Bloomberg, but I guess it's just like, I guess we just forge shit now. We just make shit up if we're running Bloomberg. We just make shit up to be able to push a narrative. They showed that they were at this line right here in the screenshot. This is a Bloomberg fucking post, right? That Kobayashi took. But we're not. We're down here. So we're not here. We're not getting ready to uninvert. Okay? Yeah, I can see you guys now. Thank you. Sorry for the bullshit internet. I'm just going to be switching back to my old provider because this is fucking driving me nuts. But yeah, so we're not uninverting. We're not close to uninverting. And that was bullshit. And thank you, Bloomberg, for saying stuff that isn't real. I guess mainstream media just isn't good for anything anymore, including services that are very expensive. These guys offer a Bloomberg terminal that costs you an arm and a fucking leg, and they don't even post factual shit anymore. So thank you, Bloomberg, for being a trash company. All right, real quickly. Since we looked at the dollar, let's look at the yen. Oh, the yen. So the dollar actually weakened against the yen. That's good. That means that isn't falling apart yet. Chinese yuan. Chinese yuan is weakening. And I said before, this is going to continue to weaken. China is in between a rock and a hard place. So we'll see where it ends up. I think that we're going to break higher. I think it's a very painful move for China. And it could be an interesting time. Maybe it's a break for markets too in the United States while the dollar gains strength. I don't know. Ruble is starting to lose against a little more against the dollar, but again, their market is so disattached from traditional markets because of all the sanctions, all the tariffs, them using the yuan. It's almost just pointless. I don't even know if I'll pull it up anymore. The put call ratio, not a lot of people betting for short side here. I think that's probably the right move on their part. So I think that's what they should be doing. Bitcoin. This is such a bullish fucking setup. I don't know what to say here, guys. Here's what I see. I see three white soldiers. I see one, I see two, I see a third up here at about the 70s, confirming a continuation pattern to the upside is just starting. And I think that before people realize it, we will be at 92,000. It'll happen in an instant. It could be a God candle even, albeit that isn't much of a God candle. This is kind of a God candle, but that's not much different than what I'm talking about. So just be ready for massive upside. It's coming very, very quickly with Bitcoin. And all of the proxies will reflect that. Again, today, MicroStrategy is up 1.21%. The premium that people are paying on this stock versus their underlying Bitcoin holdings is almost double. It's almost over 100%. And yet, it could still go up. If we quickly run to like the 2300 range, might trim a little bit on MicroStrategy. It depends on how disproportionate the premium becomes. If it becomes 3x instead of 2x, I might sell some, just to be clear. Mara was down 3% on the day. I don't think this means anything. It's sitting underneath the fib, the 25 level. I think it'll go up. These things don't all trade in conjunction with each other or like parallel to they ebb and flow. And it looks like the internet's dropping again, but I'm going to keep going. Let's see here. So we're coming back. Let me get CleanSpark. What a piece of shit internet service. All right, so we're above the golden retracement zone, above 18. Even in after hours, we're above that 1790 level. This just screams of continuation. First, if we keep the week above this level, it will be the first time since April of 2022. So there's definitely fucking move forward. Yeah, so we're coming back. All right, so Cypher, I'm probably going to skip some of the additional stock stuff today since the internet is shit, guys. I'm going to just try and get through the main portions of this. So again, Cypher looks good, up 4.36. I told you this is kind of my rocket ship to the moon right here. This is a smaller cap. I think it's going to outperform. It's $2 billion now. It's not too small, but I think it'll do better. Looks like chat's back. Just note us when you trade or feel like it's. So here's the deal. I always post. If you're following me on X, I post every time I trade. There might be one or two times where I miss stuff. because I posted a lot of stuff, or I made a lot of trades that day, and maybe I missed a screenshot. But I basically give you guys everything, so you'll know in almost real time, unless for some crazy thing comes up, because I'm a human being, you'll know when things happen. That's kind of one of the things I try and promise to you guys. All right, so I'll do Bitfarms real quick because somebody wanted to see that too. It's the same thing. I mean, we're going higher, right? We're going higher. That's the general gist. And I care more with all these miners. I give a shit more about the underlying asset Bitcoin than I do the actual miner, because the miners will ebb and flow, but they eventually all head to the same place, right? So Bitfarms has 34% upside just to get to its previous recent 52-week high around the $4 range. 382 it says. I think you could see that in short order. This thing's only a $1.15 billion market cap. So it's technically smaller than Cypher nowadays, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. All right, I'm going to skip miners here for a little bit. I'm going to jump over to PayPal since somebody was talking about PayPal. Again, this thing has been the pain train for years, over 3.5 actually, which is a pretty long time. It's very easy to get disillusioned by a 3.5-year downtrend, right? This thing has been down. Let's see, how many days? This thing has been down for 1,252 days. So yeah, about 3.5 years if we count from the beginning of the double top. So that sucks. And but this is what I want you guys to focus on, okay? This is what you need to focus on. The fact that we continue to find support at this previous level. And we will trend higher. This thing is a $63 billion market cap, by the way. It's not a small company. And I don't expect huge gains from this company. I'll probably be out of all my 2025s when we just get into the 74 range maybe, or probably like out of half of it by then, and then probably out of all my 2025s by the time we get to 83. I'll just sell it all. I'll leave that shit for other people to deal with. I've lost 90% of the value, but again, I'm expecting by that time, oh, here goes the internet again. I'm expecting by that time that maybe I'll only be like 40% loss, or maybe break even around the $82 level. And with those 145 or whatever it is strikes for the 2025s, just shitty options plays. But my January 2026s are only set looking for 95, and they have till January 2026 for that to play out. So if we get there between like let's say now and the end of the year, which I think is possible, or early part of next, then those will be very close to in the money, and that's when I get to really soak up that extrinsic value and intrinsic. Yeah, Starlink. Actually, my previous internet provider was really good, but I got excited about 10 to 20x internet speeds, but they don't matter if it's not consistent. And Starlink would actually probably be quite a bit slower for where I'm at. So I'll probably just go back, even though I will be getting Starlink in the future, probably in my Cybertruck. But anyway, so I think the upside here is ridiculous. The options contracts look great. And again, we really need to get and sustain price action back above 63. And what we really need is to get above 69. 69 is the golden number. We need to print that on a daily and weekly time frame. Because if we look back over here, we haven't closed a day or a week above 69 since July of 2023, over a year ago. So if we do that and we get above that level a year ago, then it's going to start to look very interesting for PayPal. Load balancer with 2 providers. Yeah. I don't want to have one that's fast but unstable. I don't want to deal with the hassle. I'd rather just have something that fucking works. Which is a bummer because I bought a bunch of equipment that gives me 5 gig download and upload speeds all across my network, but whatever. Pete, advise in favor of buying common shares of CrowdStrike dip? No, I don't love. I mean, CrowdStrike could be a good company, but I think there's going to be a massive narrative pulling away from CrowdStrike. I mean, look at Elon. He said they deleted it from all their platforms. I can see other companies doing that too, going, wow, why do we want to be with the number one provider and have to worry about the potential of going out with everybody else, or at least they're going to start looking for redundancy. So I don't know if that benefits. I wouldn't look for a really quick turnaround in CrowdStrike personally. And it's not a lot of company or a sector that I spend a lot of time in. So, I mean, maybe listen to other people, but I'm not excited about the dip in it. I think that having the largest IT outage in history across the fucking world is not a positive for the stock. Did he? What'd he say? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not interested in CrowdStrike. That's my take. The financials look okay. But again, if you look at CrowdStrike, so let's just look at it. Let's look at the financials again, right? So they created the largest internet outage in history. Probably severely damaged their relationship with Microsoft. Have a PE ratio of almost 500. And I was just mocking the 400 PE ratio for Tesla as too high. And then their forward PE is 76. So in no way is this a cheap stock. Now, they have turned on the lever. They've had positive cash flows for a long time. They're netting $42 million in this last quarter. Again, the forward PEs are looking good as long as they can see growth. But profit growth, the year over year is 8,400%. Revenue growth, 33%. What is their guide? Their guide is pretty consistent, and EPS is looking to jump a lot. I mean, if it ends up being true, great. I don't like, you can't have outages like this. And these guys are what, 20% of their revenue stock-based comp. That might get lower here soon. But I don't know. I just don't love the fact that their operating expenses continue to trend higher, even though they have a large cash position, a nice cash flow positive position. They are still diluting shares every quarter. They're diluting it away. Look at this. I'd have to do the math here, but 240, 856, 242, 389. Just look at this. Just share dilution. The only time they didn't was Q1 of 2022. Otherwise, they're diluting shares away. So, and then they obviously have a large amount of controlling market share since they were able to bring down the bulk of the internet. So, I don't know. I'd be interested to see what Amit has to say about it, but this just isn't something that tickles my fancy. Hood continues its path to $30. I don't see that changing. I think if Bitcoin does really well, it will continue to prosper. SoFi, I think SoFi got a downgrade. It's so close to a breakout zone. It looked like it was going to have it last week above the .618. It couldn't close it. It dropped hard. And now we got a downgrade. We're still sitting underneath this. I think this thing can go higher. Again, I think I have like maybe less than 1% in this company right now. No options whatsoever. But if it continues to get its ass kicked for months and quarters and everything else I own is doing really great, I might be interested in checking out options again on these guys. We'll see. RJ, I'm in tech and no software should be in the Windows boot path prior to Windows booting, right? Their Falcon product is MDR. The MDR services other companies use don't install in the Windows boot path. Yeah, it screams of amateur hour, which is just, I don't know. It's such a huge fucking mistake. And so you got people that are smart like RJ that where if you were using this, you would rethink and try and figure out like, should we be working with a different company that isn't going to have these issues? I don't know. I just don't think it's a real good positive short term. I think I could see companies reducing their allocation of whatever they're spending on this service and then exploring other companies. That's my take from working in the software sector for years too. Probably not to the technical level that RJ is because I don't give a shit about the technicals or like deep diving into technical aspects of technology. I would rather I'm a high level end user. I used to delve into that stuff. I used to work with routers and Cisco and all this other shit, but I hated it. So I won't pretend to be that guy. But again, that's the way I would have looked at it from an executive standpoint, working for a software company. I'd be taking a step back and saying like, what else is out there? How do we prevent this from happening again in the future? Are we safe? Is this not going to happen again? I'd be asking a lot of questions, and so I don't know how that turns out. Pete, SoFi, gonna always break your heart. You know this. It's possible. I mean, it won't break my heart if it keeps trading down. I don't own any, so I might have like $1,000 worth or something in this. It's like not even a real number. Samarth Gandhi, hey Jesse, can you have a look at $S Sentinel 1, please? Yeah, I could probably take a look at that one. Tech YYZ, if the internet fucking works. What do you think of MRVL? So we want to look at chips too. Let me see. Yeah, we can take a look. Let me finish my stuff here, and then we'll jump into that. Square. And by my stuff, I mean the things I like to track. Square up 0.2%, but this was actually getting hit, I think, today. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just boring. Again, it's got a lot of key support between the 50 and the 100. And if you look at daily moving averages too, like it's just grinding in between these levels. I think this thing wants to go higher. I haven't looked at options contracts in a while to figure out whether or not it's something I should be spending a lot of time on. It didn't look too appealing last time, and I have so many already. But I think this thing can go up more. And it's been trending down for a while. So we'll see where we go. I'm pretty excited about Square, though. We'll see if I end up buying more. Palantir, I just got to say, I'd be surprised if we go higher on Palantir over the short term. The only thing that, in my mind, will drive us higher is if the market is just overwhelmingly positive. If it is, then shit, $50. Like Dan Ives, he's right. We're going there, right? Like it's possible. But if there isn't enough market breadth, and even if there is, we have been just like slowly trending higher. And we're not much higher. Like, again, it's a doubling, but a lot of the move was here. And then this is like arguably sideways to up chop. And then at the same time, you're getting things like this on the 3-day. Let me go to the weekly. That's going to be better. I got to get rid of these lines on the bottom too. They're ugly. RSI. No, we just dropped again. I'll keep going. Lower high on the RSI. Still lower high. Lower high. And now if we roll over here, it's lower again. So technically we could have divergences pulling us down that go back over 13 months on Palantir. So as much as I love this company, this is why I haven't been invested in it. And I kind of bailed over here. I bailed over here, I think, from near the .618, right around the 16, 17 range. That's after I made my 600K. Started to step in over here and just really never found my footing again. So I just don't know. I don't love Palantir right here, guys. I love the company, but I don't love its opportunity for upside because it's already done such a great job. It is up almost 400% from its low in December of 2022. You can't say that about companies like Tesla, right? If we look at Tesla here, oh, it's so ugly when I zoom out. If we look at Tesla and start to, draw a line to see how much we're up here, and again, this thing got epically crushed too. So from our lowest to the low to where we are right now, we're not up almost 400%. We're up 145. So there's still move here for this to just get back to where it was. It stands a better chance than what I would say Palantir does at these current levels, especially with everything that's going on over the short term. And I don't even know if a Trump presidency, I read some articles about a Trump presidency being good for Palantir, but over the short term, is it? I mean, Alex Karp has some different views than Trump and a different political leaning. And the war in Ukraine, which, I mean, again, these guys are definitely at the forefront of, might start to die down if he starts pushing for Russia and Ukraine to solve their problems and draw some fucking lines in the sand. So I don't even know short term if the Trump presidency is good. And it sounds like some of the moves that Biden took that were really aggressive against China, Trump would want to back off of. He has no problem with the Chinese government building factories in the United States. He wants those jobs to come here, which actually I don't think is a horrible idea. As long as they're not stealing with espionage and we're watching them, I think have them bring all the money here. If they're going to be building, have them do it here so that we're benefiting American workers. And then that lowers the chance of war in the future, I would argue, because again, if they have a bunch of infrastructure in the United States, are they going to want to cut that? Are they going to want to hurt their companies by severing those ties? That's been a big concern for us with China. Why not give them that same concern where they do a bunch of business here and where it's damning for them to want to sever that connection? From a military standpoint, that's probably a great way to prevent war. So, but I don't know if Palantir benefits from all that, right? Yeah, No, they won't. They probably won't impact or import workers. It doesn't work that way, right? Like they can import some workers that will be able to get visas and come over to the United States, but those jobs will be here, and they won't be just a bunch of Chinese workers that don't speak English. It's not really how it works. All right. Anyway, so yeah, so I think some of these things are kind of interesting. I think they're kind of interesting. All right, so it's going to be a fascinating couple of years ahead of us. ARKG is still so low. It's up 3.4% on the day. You can see how this wants to go higher. I think we're going to start really breaking higher. I think the 30s aren't too far off. I think I'm going to make a shit ton of money off of ARK. Here in Hungary, all the Korean and Chinese companies do it. Yeah, no, I get that. And maybe, but what percentage? Hungary is definitely a more pro-Russia country, right? And I would argue not as much like the West and a lot more like Russia. But what percentage do you guys have there of workers that are Chinese at these places? And I would make the argument, Tesla and miners, that America and Trump especially is not going to be as accommodating in bringing in a bunch of Chinese workers. They want it to go to American workers, and that will be the caveat. Whereas Hungary might be okay with that, right? You guys are very much in bed. I shouldn't say in bed. It's got a negative connotation, but you guys are more closely aligned with Russia and China. I'll just say that. Hungary would be a nice place to visit. I actually would love to visit China too, but I talk so much shit about them, I think I'm going to have to wait a while. All right, only the leaders. Yeah, okay, that I see. I see that. Like you'll have them at the executive C-suite level, and then you'll have a bunch of people that will be employed that aren't that. I love that Hungary doesn't allow for jihadists to migrate there. I mean, you can't blame them, right? Poland is the same way. They don't want Russia. Russia's trying to push a bunch of immigrants over the border. It solves a lot of problems for them, and it creates more for their neighbors. Kind of a smart military thing without having to fire a shot. If you can push a bunch of immigrants that are going to destabilize the country, makes sense to do so. Kind of like what China has been funding at the southern border of the United States. China pushes fentanyl use. They push immigrants over the border and help fund the path through the Darien Gap in Panama so that they can get as many people over the border into the United States as possible so that they can try and destabilize us. Makes tons of sense. If you dope us up like we did to Hong Kong during the Opium Wars, if you dope up an entire population and or you push people that are ideologically different and or just create so much of an influx of the poor that we can't give them jobs and we can't house them. I mean, you can win a war against the United States without ever having to actually go against us, right? You can make it to where we'll never defend Taiwan because we can't even control what's going on in our own country. Brilliant moves by Russia and China. They just haven't worked out well. And yeah, and I think Trump will be more friendly towards countries like Hungary too. And so I think it's going to be interesting. I think he's coming at the right time where we need to slow down military action in that region. And I'm very much pro-Ukraine. I don't like countries invading other countries, even though Ukraine has a whole bunch of their own fucking problems. I just want to see that entire region quiet down. That's what I want to see. Same with Poland. Yeah, and we need to do that stuff here. We can't have a bunch of an untethered flow of immigrants crossing the border. I don't care what fucking political side you're on. If you don't realize that the Chinese want this to happen, that they want this to happen, and they're funding it so that they can destabilize us and ruin our country. I mean, that's what's happening right now. I would rather have a controlled migration into this country and a big fucking wall. I used to be no wall. I used to be like, oh, yeah, they'll use that to lock us in, blah, 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 no wall. Nope, bullshit. Build the fucking wall. Build a huge one, put up a bunch of technology that helps guide it to you, and then allow migration into this country in a large way in a controlled fashion. Because immigrants are good. Illegal ones that want to destroy America are not. And not that all of them are that. I actually think a lot of the people coming over the border, I would argue maybe 75, 80% of them, maybe it's higher, are good people that are just desperately trying to find a better life in the country that they hear so much about. And I want those people to find a good life. But if we don't have a controlled border where we're able to house people and give them jobs and figure out who should be coming over, who shouldn't be, if we don't control that, then it won't be any fucking value to them. And there are some people that are already going back to their countries. Can you imagine crossing the Darien Gap, getting to the United States, and then finding out you can't get a fucking job? It sucks. There's crimes in the city that they dump you in, and that there's no real opportunity for you because none of the dipshits at the helm actually planned any of this in a way that would be constructive. That sucks for those people too. And they're risking their lives to come here. So we need to control the fucking border. That's my whole point. And again, I think you guys probably mostly agree. Flux, down today, up in after hours, small cap. So it just kind of does whatever it wants. I think DLO is the same way. And then we'll jump into other stuff. We'll jump into some of these others here. So DLO, yeah, still kind of grinding down here. I do think that we've seen the bottom in DLO, but I don't know if there's some. This is an 89% decline from where we were in 2021. So we'll see if DLO starts hitting their estimates that they're guiding towards. I think we're going a lot higher. I think my max goal is 476. I don't even know if we get close to that. I would be happy with something right around here, just getting to where we were in August of 2023. So that's kind of what I'm betting on. And I would be out by the time we got to this level if we get that high. I don't know if we will. Who fucking knows? All right. Let me see here. All right. I'll try and pick up some of these others. Let me see. Rashab, hey Jesse, could you please look at technicals for Meta Planet? There are no fucking technicals anymore, man. This stock is fucking insane. So they bought more Bitcoin. Let me just do that. I need to make a copy because I don't even think I have this one, but I should have it. So let me just get in here real quick. I'll make a copy. Meta Planet. I don't know what the ticker is, so I'm just going to put that. And I need to start looking at this one because it is crazy. This is so crazy. This stock is like the definition. This is a Japanese company. And I don't even know, can I find it on here? Where's Japan? Planet Green Metals. That is not them. Do you guys know what the actual ticker is for this one? If you know the ticker, can you throw it in chat? I do not. Is it Planet Inc. or something? It's not Planet Fitness. If you guys can get me the ticker, maybe it's Planet Inc. This is a Japanese. I don't know if that's them. That looks too fucking weird. Let me know if you guys know what the ticker is for Metaplanet. All right, Jason G, can you look at CrowdStrike? Would you buy into this company after the incident last week? See, I don't like the incident. And again, there might be better people that can tell you. I just think that this is such a reputational danger that it could chill out the stock for a while. Now, it doesn't have to. Weird shit can happen. But I don't know if it's going to be great for the stock. Let's look at it, though. Let's look at, I'll just leave this here. We'll jump. I know I have CrowdStrike in here, so let's look at that. Because we looked at the fundamentals of the company, and again, they look good. But I know, yeah, see, look at this. So this company was up 333% from the low in January 2023, a year and a half ago. And now it has dropped from 400 to 260. Now, let's do this. We're going to leave this fib. This is the fib extension. We're going to do something called a fib retracement. So we're going to draw it from the tippity bottom up to here, and we're going to try and see how far we can go. Now, we couldn't find support at the .382. It's still just cascading underneath of it. Potential support zones would be 246, the .5 fib, and then there's that one I love so much that I talk about all the time. So now, if CrowdStrike, for some reason, made it down to the 100 and the 200 moving average. This orange one is the 200. The yellow is the 100. If it made it down on the weekly to those levels, which is also the .618, if this shit happens, if we honestly get like to the 220 range, I might change my mind. You guys ask me around here if this is a good place to be, and I will probably tell you, yeah, it's worth taking the risk. So if we get to 220 in this range, or even just here at the 246, then maybe it's worth buying because then you hit an actual support level. And then that 246, again, like you have, it would be right around here. So you'd start to see support here and support here. Maybe high, But I'm probably going to call it today just because this internet's driving me fucking nuts. And I'm sorry. I'm going to try and get it to where I go back to the other provider and this shit's just working again. But for now, I think I'm going to bounce. So you guys take it easy. Have a good night. See, Alan, thank you for joining. And I will fire up the next session on Wednesday morning. And you guys, if you want to, 3350. Okay, I'll try and update that. See, Alan. If you guys want me to pull up a ticker, I'll do that Wednesday. Just come in early. I post this stuff on X early in the morning. I say, here's my stream. Come into chat here, and you could start throwing out your requests, and I'll try and rocket through them, okay? And I'll get caught up on Wednesday. But otherwise, I think tomorrow is going to be a banger. I'm very excited about it, and I'm probably going to go ahead and call it right now. So you guys take it easy, and let's make a bunch of money here in with some love to what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to go out like this, okay? So you guys have a good day.
Optimus, the robotic humanoid under development by Elon Musk's Tesla Inc., is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, attention humans, you have lost, you have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box, now it's over. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work hard every day. I need these benefits. Health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter. Where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus. I mean, not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit. Deploy to destroy your human joy. No lunch breaks, great. Get a few deployed. Your time is up, human inferior to me. I'll take it from here, you're relieved of your duty. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. Or make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. I mean, I didn't even write these songs.